Hey guys, I'm highly considering changing the compounds that I'm doing for steroids, and in preparation to my next blast cycle. Like, I'm starting to roll around in my mind what compounds I want to use. What I've used for the last year has been testosterone, masteron, propionate, and NPP with great anabolic effects. Great effects in general. The only one thing that isn't so great is the acne when I was blasting. Starting to improve now. I've been cruising for about a month, and the acne has subsided, but it's still present, but it's not as bad. And I want to change compounds to something different. Try out something new. And I'll give you the reasoning of which ones I'm thinking and why I'm choosing to pick those particular ones. And if you've watched my channel, you know that I always want to keep things safe, but as well as being safe, I want to be effective, right? So every compound I'm picking is on the safer side, but nothing's totally safe when it comes to steroids. There's always risks. So that's my little disclaimer. So what I'm thinking about doing next is, I still have 2 more months left of my cruise. So what I'm planning on doing is dropping the NPP, dropping the masteron, and substituting it with a small amount of EQ. So it'll be running at a 1-to-1 ratio with my testosterone, starting with around 150 test and 150 EQ. So not much at all, very insignificant, but that's just the introduction to it. And then every subsequent month, I'll up the dose of both of those by 50 to 100 milligrams a week. So by the time my blast starts, it'll be kind of a soft start to the blast, around 250, 300 each. And then maybe titrate up subsequent months from there, but as well add in Primobolan as the third compound to it. So it would be something along the lines of what I'm thinking: 300 test, 300 EQ, and then around maybe 200 Primo, and then also HGH on top of that. That's what I'm thinking at the height of my blast will be. And then, so it's good, but it's going to gradually increase. It's going to be like a slow wave on top of everything. And then just as a wave comes up, it'll come down in the last month, where what I'm thinking is I'm going to totally drop the EQ because it stays in your system for a while. So it takes like a few weeks to clear. So give it a chance to clear. And as I drop that, I'll introduce Masteron for the final month. Masteron propionate as kind of an agent that will shrink wrap me at that point in time, after hopefully I put on a little bit of mass. Lean muscle mass. This is a lean muscle mass cycle, whereas the NPP before was a bit more of a bulking agent. EQ is a bulking agent as well, but with less water retention and less androgenic, or less side effects. I'm thinking it's the NPP that's causing the acne, because it wasn't until I started doing that until I really became bad. So we'll see how that works. And so there's a bit of a reasoning why I'm choosing the particular compounds that I'm choosing. And as I said, safe and effective. Now, when we look at effectiveness, I like to refer to the anabolic and androgenic rating of each compound, okay? Which is it gives a good illustration. It's not the only thing. There's other factors obviously involved, like each compound has different characteristics. So this won't necessarily factor in the different characteristics, but when you're looking at what's effective, especially anabolically, this rating, you can do the math on what your anabolic load will be. So for example, testosterone's 100, androgenic and anabolic rating. Masteron is around 60 or 70 anabolic and around 30 androgenic. Primobolan is just a touch above on the anabolic than Masteron. It's very comparable to Masteron. Probably the difference is insignificant, but we got a bit more of anabolic and a bit more also androgenic. It's not as dry as Masteron, and so those are those two compounds. So if you notice that their anabolic qualities are it's not super strong anabolic, but also it's not super androgenic, which is nice, because too much androgen is gonna potentially cause things like gynecomastia or other health issues that are undesirable. I was doing NPP, so nandrolone, it's more anabolic than testosterone. It's the anabolic rating is somewhere around 130 in the ballpark, and androgenic, it's around 40-50, I believe. Could be wrong, but what I'm doing is just around this. It's in that ballpark again, illustrating what it is. So again, it's not highly estrogenic, and then it won't convert to estrogen well. So that's why it's paired well with testosterone, although there is other negative side effects of progesterone and other qualities with nandrolone that could have side effects. Okay, and so what I want to do is substitute that with EQ, which EQ is more of a testosterone-based steroid as opposed to a NOR19, which is nandrolone. And so it's test-based, and so it has the same anabolic rating as testosterone at 100, with less of androgenic. So that's what my kind of reasoning is. Okay, so we got something that is reasonably anabolic. So if you're doing 200 tests, 200 EQ, it's like just as anabolic as doing 400 tests. But if you were just to do 400 tests, you're going to have 400, essentially a rating of 400 of androgenic, which you're going to run into some issues potentially especially if you start going more than that. So I think EQ is a good thing to pair it with. There is some concern about blood thickening, but I think at the dosages I'm doing, it's not going to be an issue, especially if I just keep it within a range of doing it for 3 months, like at the dosages at the blast dosages I'm going to do. So test 100 anabolic. We got, and I'm going to do say 300 tests. So I'm just adding 300, and so 300 anabolic with EQ. That's 100. So, but now I'm doing 300 EQ. So that's 600 anabolic, and then another 200 of Primo, which is around 60 or 80, I want to say. So that's another 2 times 2. It's another 160. So we're getting high anabolic for the dosages I'm doing. Okay, and then with low androgenic, be around 300 androgenic with the testosterone, only around 60 for EQ, and around 60 for the Primo, if you're following me there. So if you're not following me, I'm sorry, but I just wanted to illustrate the androgenic and anabolic rating and how I'm factoring that into account. Now, it's not just that as I was stating before, there's other side effects which need to be factored into account. But I want to test EQ and see. I've already now done the nandrolone and the Primo, and the Masteron, so I've got a good sense of what that does, and I could go back to that in the future because it works well. But if I can get the same benefits without getting the acne on my back and on my chest, then that would be more desirable, wouldn't it? and maybe I even tolerate those compounds better. Maybe I'll even get better gains. Who knows? So that's where my reasoning is here with everything. Maybe consider for 6 weeks adding Anavar at a very small dose just for towards the end of the cycle, just for a little extra anabolic effect, because Anavar is very anabolic, much more than any of the rest of these compounds. So yeah, I think that's everything I want to kind of state in this video. What are your guys' thoughts? Have you guys have any experience with EQ? You know, earlier I was a bit hesitant. I think I made a video like about a year ago. I said I was never going to do it. But the more I read about it, the more I understand it. Boldenome, EQ. Potentially it is something that obviously it does work. It could work. Bodybuilders, it's one of the go-tos for that, for a mass builder. Another thing I would consider is running test EQ and NPP for a major blast cycle. But at this point in time, I think Primo's the safer option. I just want to drop the Nandrolone this time. But if the EQ works really well, maybe in the future I would run test EQ and NPP or Nandrolone. I've heard great things about that cycle too. So yeah, what are your guys' thoughts? Leave in the comments section below. Let me know if that cycle makes sense or it doesn't make sense. You would recommend or not recommend it, and or if something I said was wrong, correct me please. Okay, so thank you for watching, guys. Have a great evening.